Hey everyone, it's your boy back with another dose of reality. Today, we are not pulling any punches. We're going straight to the heart of the matter because frankly, your excuses are getting old. This isn't about being mean. This is about being real. This is about lighting a fire under your butt because I'm tired of seeing so much wasted potential. We are diving into the root cause of stagnation, the silent saboteur of success, the sneaky snake in the grass that keeps you stuck, your justifications, your excuses, your stories. Chapter 1. The illusion of justification. Let's face it, we are masters of creating complex, intricate webs of reasoning to explain why we aren't where we want to be. We're like expert lawyers, defending the indefensible. We say we're too busy, too tired, too unlucky, too disadvantaged. It's always something external, something outside of our control, isn't it? We make these elaborate narratives of this happened, therefore I couldn't. But honestly, what if these stories, these seemingly airtight justifications, are just well-crafted masks covering something else? The real issue here is not circumstance, it is fear. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of the unknown. These are the real puppet masters, pulling the strings of your excuses. You create these walls of justification to protect yourself from the discomfort of confronting your fears. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how your excuses always seem to perfectly align with your anxieties? You say you don't have time because you're afraid of the effort involved, or you say you're not good enough because you fear rejection. It's a carefully constructed dance, and that dance is keeping you exactly where you don't want to be. This self-imposed prison, built from the bricks of excuses, is surprisingly comfortable. It's a predictable space where you can avoid risks, avoid failure, and even avoid success. You know the drill. You know the story. It's safe. But safe is the enemy of growth. Safe is where dreams go to die. The comfort zone is just another term for that prison made of excuses. It's a space where you can watch Netflix for hours without guilt because you've convinced yourself that you need to relax. You know what's relaxing? Achievement. The feeling of progress, of mastering new skills. Not mindless scrolling. What might look like self-care might just be disguised self-sabotage. You stay in the comfort zone because you fear the discomfort of the unknown, the struggle that comes with pushing your limits. But remember this, every single breakthrough in your life, every single moment of genuine progress happens on the other side of that discomfort. Think back to the last time you did something truly worthwhile. Did it feel easy? No. It was probably terrifying. It was probably uncomfortable, but you did it. Now, compare that feeling to the constant, nagging dissatisfaction of knowing that you are capable of so much more. Which feeling do you choose? Chapter 2. The Comfort Zone Trap. The comfort zone isn't some harmless, cozy retreat. It's a cleverly designed trap, luring you in with false promises of ease and security. But the truth is, it's a place of slow stagnation where your potential slowly fades away. Imagine a goldfish in a bowl, perfectly content in its little world, unaware of the vast ocean that exists beyond. That goldfish is you if you keep choosing comfort over growth. The longer you stay within the confines of your comfort zone, the harder it becomes to break free. It's like a muscle that atrophies from disuse. The less you challenge yourself, the less resilient you become. You start fearing everything even more. Small obstacles seem like huge, insurmountable challenges, and opportunities become sources of anxiety instead of inspiration. The fear becomes louder and stronger. The comfortable prison gets tighter and darker. We start settling for less than we deserve, accepting the status quo and losing the fire in our belly. We make ourselves comfortable with the uncomfortable because it is all we know. This is where the real tragedy lies, living a life far below your potential. Imagine looking back on your life in 10, 20 years from now and feeling that nagging regret, that voice inside your head saying, what if? What if you had pushed yourself? What if you had taken that risk? What if you hadn't allowed fear to control your actions? What a horrible thing to think. The comfort zone is not about safety. It's about mediocrity. It's about choosing a predictable and unfulfilling life over the chance to reach your fullest potential. We start making compromises with ourselves, each compromise making it even easier to choose the path of least resistance next time. It's a slippery slope that leads to a life defined by what you didn't do instead of what you did. And all of this because of fear. It's not really a lack of time, talent, or resources. It is a lack of courage to step outside of your self-imposed limitations. Chapter 3. The Anatomy of Fear. Let's break down this monster, this fear that controls you. It is not one big, terrifying monster. It's a collection of little gremlins working in concert. First, we have the fear of failure. This is the fear of not meeting your own expectations, of falling short, of making mistakes. It's an incredibly powerful fear, and for many people, it can be paralyzing. It makes you afraid to even try because it's safer not to try at all. There is no chance of failing if you don't start, right? Wrong. You're already failing by doing nothing. Then there is the fear of rejection, which is a major source of human pain. We worry about what others will think, that we'll be judged, criticized, ridiculed. This fear holds us back from expressing ourselves and going after what we really want. We'd rather stay quiet and small than face disapproval from others. In this social media age, this fear is only amplified. We also have the fear of inadequacy, the belief that we are not good enough, not smart enough, not talented enough. This is a deep-seated insecurity that makes you doubt your capabilities and convince yourself that you are not worthy of success. This trifecta of fear, failure, rejection, inadequacy can be incredibly debilitating. These fears aren't some external force that suddenly attack you. They are rooted in your own limiting beliefs. They are stories you tell yourself over and over again. You convince yourself that you're not good enough, that you can't succeed, that you are going to be judged. And when you believe these stories, you are trapped. You start seeing evidence of these beliefs everywhere. Every little setback becomes proof that you are right and that you were destined to fail. It's like you have a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure that you're constantly feeding. But the key here is that you created this story. You are the narrator, the director, and the protagonist. And because you are the author of this story, you can change it. You are not bound to these limited, scary, and depressing beliefs. You have the power to rewrite the story of your life, and you do that by confronting these fears head on. You expose them, challenge them, and ultimately show them who's boss. Chapter 4. Reframing Failure. Now, let's talk about failure. It's not the end. In fact, it can be the beginning of something incredible. Society has programmed us to view failure as something to be avoided at all costs, a sign of weakness, an indicator of incompetence. We are all taught to strive for perfection, to succeed at all times. But let's be real. Life does not work that way. Failure is an inevitable part of the human experience, a stepping stone on the path to success. Think of the greatest innovators, entrepreneurs, artists, athletes. Almost all of them experienced multiple setbacks and failures on their way to the top. Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, all faced serious hardships. Failure is not a reflection of your worth. It's a sign that you are pushing your boundaries, a sign that you are daring to try new things. When we reframe failure in this way, it loses its power over us. It becomes a valuable feedback mechanism. We can learn what doesn't work, adapt our strategy, and move forward with more knowledge and resilience. Every stumble, every misstep, every failed attempt contains valuable lessons. It's like a research and development phase where you gather critical data. What did you learn? What did you do wrong? How can you do it better next time? Instead of wallowing in self-pity and saying, "I'm not good enough," ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Look at the most successful companies such as Amazon, Tesla, Apple. They fail all the time. New products fail. New strategies fail. Their stock sometimes crashes, but they keep innovating. They keep moving forward. They don't let failures define them, and neither should you. Embrace failure as an opportunity for growth and transform it into fuel for your success. When you accept that failure is a normal and necessary part of the journey, you become less afraid of it, and you are much more likely to take the risks needed to reach your goals. You start to see failures as valuable data points that get you closer to your ultimate destination. Chapter 5. Action over apathy. Now that we've discussed fear and excuses, it's time to get real about taking action. Talk is cheap, they say, and it is true. You can plan, strategize, analyze until you're blue in the face, but nothing changes until you start taking action. Action is the antidote to apathy, the cure for stagnation. It is the only way to overcome your fears and break free from your self-imposed limitations. Action is the proof of your belief, the evidence of your intentions. If you truly believe in yourself, then you have to show it with your actions. But how do you do this? How do you develop a habit of consistent action? First, you have to get out of your head. Stop overthinking every little detail and just start. Perfection is a myth. There is no such thing as the perfect time to start. Begin before you're ready, because you'll never feel completely ready. Start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire life at once. Pick one or two specific goals and focus on taking small, consistent steps towards them. A few minutes a day is much better than a few hours once a week. Consistency is the key. Focus on creating systems rather than relying on motivation. Motivation is a fleeting feeling that is easily influenced by external factors. Some days, you are just not going to feel like doing anything. But systems are reliable. They are your daily routines that will carry you on even when you don't feel like it. Create a daily schedule, set reminders, and find an accountability partner. Make it easy to take action. Reduce the friction between you and your goals. Prepare your work area the night before. Set out your gym clothes, whatever it takes to make it easy to start. And most importantly, celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Every little step forward is a reason to celebrate. This will create a positive feedback loop and motivate you to keep going. You have to go from thinking about your goals to actually doing them. Stop talking and start doing. Let your actions speak louder than your excuses. Chapter 6. The Power of Accountability. Accountability is a game changer in the journey towards your goals. It's one thing to make promises to yourself. It's a completely different thing to make those promises to someone else. When you know that someone is watching, you are much more likely to stay on track and follow through. Accountability is the glue that holds your intentions together. It's the support system that ensures you keep making progress even when things get hard, and they will get hard. But accountability is not just about external pressure. It's also about internal honesty. It's about being truthful to yourself about your progress. Are you truly doing everything you can to reach your goals? Are you using your time wisely? Are you making excuses for yourself? Answering these questions truthfully is a critical step in taking full responsibility for your life. Accountability is a muscle that needs to be developed. It's not just about being honest with others. It's about being honest with yourself. When you are honest with yourself, you can see your progress clearly and you can identify areas where you are sabotaging your success. There are many ways to cultivate accountability. You can hire a coach or a mentor who can help you set goals, track progress, and hold you accountable. You can find an accountability partner who shares similar goals and work together. You can share your goals with your friends or family and ask them to check in with you regularly. You can also use technology to track your progress. Apps and software that track time, activity levels, or other parameters can help you visualize your progress and stay on track. Ultimately, accountability is about taking full responsibility for your life. You are the driver of your destiny. No one is going to magically come in and fix things for you. If you want to succeed, you have to be accountable to yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to keep moving forward even when you don't feel like it. Chapter 7. Embrace the uncomfortable. Finally, and this is critical, you have to embrace the uncomfortable. Growth happens outside of your comfort zone. Success is found on the other side of discomfort. When you become comfortable being uncomfortable, you become unstoppable. It's not a one-time thing. It is something you have to practice every single day. Think about the things that scare you the most, the things that you avoid. Are these things preventing you from living the life you truly want? Chances are they are. Those uncomfortable situations, those challenging tasks, those scary interactions are your growth opportunities. Embrace these experiences. See them not as obstacles, but as stepping stones on the path towards reaching your full potential. This is not a call to live in constant fear, but a call to reframe your relationship with discomfort. When you embrace discomfort, it becomes less scary. It becomes the norm. It's like lifting weights. At first, it feels awkward, painful, and uncomfortable. But the more you do it, the stronger you get, and you begin to enjoy the process. Embrace the struggle. See it as a necessary component of growth. This is the only way to overcome the limitations of your excuses. The only way to silence that inner voice that tells you that you're not good enough. When you embrace the uncomfortable, you start building resilience, grit, and determination. You develop a growth mindset that embraces learning and development, that sees challenges as opportunities, that never settles for the status quo. You're not afraid to step out of line, to go against the grain, to try something new. You become the hero of your own story. And this process starts with simply saying no more excuses, and it continues by embracing the uncomfortable. You have the potential within you to achieve anything you set your mind to. All you need to do is break free from your limitations, discard your excuses, and step into the person you were always meant to be. It's not easy. It's going to be hard, but I know you can do it. Conclusion. The journey we've covered today is not just about eliminating excuses, it's about embracing a life of intention and power. The conclusions will be in the end, and we will discuss our plan and actions for future growth. It's time to stop settling for the comfort of justifications and step boldly into the discomfort of growth. You have the tools and the power within you to make incredible changes. It's time to use them. Rephrased article, approx 60,000 characters. Hey there, everyone. It's your friend back with another dose of raw truth. Today, there's no sugarcoating, no beating around the bush. We are going directly to the core of the problem because, frankly, your justifications are becoming tiresome. This isn't about being unkind. It's about being authentic. It's about kindling a fire within you because I'm weary of witnessing so much untapped potential. We're delving deep into the fundamental cause of inertia, the quiet underminer of achievement, the sly impediment that keeps you trapped, your rationalizations, your pretexts, your narratives. Let's get to it. Chapter 1, The Illusion of Justification. Let's be honest. We are virtuosos at constructing intricate and complex networks of reasoning to clarify why we are not where we aspire to be. We are like expert legal minds defending what can't be defended. We declare we're overly occupied, excessively fatigued, unduly unlucky, or inadequately privileged. It always revolves around something external, something beyond our jurisdiction, doesn't it? We craft these elaborate accounts of this transpired, hence I couldn't. But in all sincerity, what if these tales, these seemingly airtight defenses, are merely meticulously crafted masks concealing something else? The actual issue here is not circumstantial, it's apprehension. The apprehension of setbacks, the apprehension of disapproval, the apprehension of the ambiguous. These are the actual manipulators controlling your justifications. You develop these fortifications of justification to shield yourself from the unease of confronting your anxieties. Consider this. Have you ever observed how your excuses invariably seem to align flawlessly with your unease? You claim you lack the time because you are fearful of the required exertion, or you say you are not sufficiently competent because you are fearful of being rejected. It's a meticulously choreographed performance, and this performance is maintaining you precisely where you do not wish to remain. This self-imposed confinement, constructed from the substance of excuses, is astonishingly agreeable. It's a predictable realm where you can avert hazards, avert failure, and even avert accomplishments. You are familiar with the routine. You are familiar with the narrative. It is secure. However, secure is the adversary of development. Secure is where aspirations go to perish. The comfort zone is simply another term for that prison built of excuses. It's a domain where you can binge watch streaming platforms for extended periods without guilt because you've convinced yourself that you require respite. You comprehend what is genuinely relaxing? Progress, the sentiment of advancement, of mastering novel proficiencies, not aimless scrolling. What might manifest as self-care may in reality be concealed self-sabotage. You remain within the comfort zone because you dread the discomfort of the unknown, the struggle that accompanies extending your limitations. But remember this, every single advancement in your existence, every single instance of genuine progress transpires on the opposite side of that discomfort. Reflect on the last occasion you undertook something truly significant. Did it feel effortless? Absolutely not. It was probably terrifying. It was probably uncomfortable, but you did it. Now, juxtapose that sensation with the constant, persistent discontent of knowing that you possess the capacity for so much more. Which sensation do you opt for? Chapter 2. The comfort zone trap. The comfort zone isn't some benign, cozy sanctuary. It's an ingeniously devised trap, luring you with deceitful assurances of simplicity and safety. But the reality is, it's a region of gradual stagnation where your potential gradually diminishes. Envision a goldfish within a bowl, entirely content within its diminutive domain, oblivious to the immense ocean that exists beyond. That goldfish embodies you if you continuously favor ease over development. The longer you remain within the confines of your comfort zone, the more challenging it becomes to break free. It's akin to a muscle that deteriorates from neglect. The less you challenge yourself, the less adaptable you evolve. You begin to dread everything even more. Minor impediments appear as substantial, insurmountable challenges, and opportunities transform into sources of unease instead of inspiration. The apprehension becomes louder and more pronounced. The comfortable confinement becomes tighter and more gloomy. We begin settling for less than we are entitled to, accepting the established order and forfeiting the enthusiasm within our core. We acclimatize to the unsettling because it is all we comprehend. This is where the true tragedy resides, residing a life far beneath your capabilities. Envision reflecting upon your life in 10, 20 years hence and experiencing that persistent remorse, that voice within your mind articulating, what if? What if you had pushed yourself? What if you had undertaken that hazard? What if you had not permitted fear to dictate your actions? What a dreadful concept to ponder. The comfort zone is not about protection, it's about mediocrity. It's about selecting a predictable and unsatisfying existence over the prospect of achieving your utmost capabilities. We begin making compromises with ourselves, each compromise rendering it increasingly effortless to choose the path of least resistance subsequently. It's a precipitous decline that culminates in a life characterized by what you abstained from doing rather than what you accomplished. And all of this due to fear. It's not genuinely a deficiency of time, aptitude, or resources. It is a scarcity of courage to venture beyond your self-imposed constraints. Chapter 3. The Anatomy of Fear. Let's dissect this monstrosity, this fear that manipulates you. It is not a singular, overwhelming monstrosity. It's a gathering of diminutive gremlins functioning in harmony. Initially, we possess the apprehension of setbacks. This is the apprehension of not meeting your individual anticipations, of falling short, of committing errors. It's an exceptionally potent apprehension, and for many individuals, it can be paralyzing. It renders you apprehensive to even attempt because it is more secure to abstain from attempting altogether. There is no probability of failing if you do not initiate, correct? Incorrect. You are already failing by abstaining from action. Subsequently, there is the apprehension of rejection, which is a prominent origin of human anguish. We fret about the judgments of others that will be evaluated, criticized, and derided. This apprehension restricts us from articulating ourselves and pursuing what we genuinely desire. We would rather remain quiet and insignificant than confront disapproval from others. In this age of social media, this apprehension is merely augmented. Furthermore, we possess the apprehension of inadequacy, the conviction that we are not sufficiently skilled, sufficiently intelligent, or sufficiently gifted. This is a deep-seated vulnerability that causes you to question your proficiencies and convince yourself that you are undeserving of achievements. This trifecta of apprehensions, setbacks, rejection, inadequacy can be exceptionally debilitating. These apprehensions are not some external influence that abruptly assaults you. They are anchored in your own restricting convictions. They are narratives you repeatedly recount to yourself. You persuade yourself that you are not sufficiently skilled, that you cannot prosper, that you will be evaluated. And when you embrace these narratives, you are confined. You begin perceiving substantiation of these convictions everywhere. Every minor setback becomes evidence that you are correct and that you are destined for failure. It's as if you possess a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure that you are perpetually nourishing. But the crucial point here is that you originated this narrative. You are the narrator, the director, and the protagonist. And because you are the creator of this narrative, you can alter it. You are not restricted to these limited, alarming, and depressing convictions. You possess the capacity to rewrite the narrative of your life, and you accomplish that by confronting these apprehensions head-on. You expose them, challenge them, and ultimately demonstrate to them who is in control. Chapter 4. Reframing failure. Now, let's address the topic of failure. It is not the conclusion. In fact, it can be the commencement of something remarkable. Society has programmed us to perceive failure as something to be averted at all costs, a symbol of vulnerability, an indicator of incompetence. We are all taught to pursue perfection, to succeed at all times. However, let's be genuine. Life does not function in that manner. Failure is an inevitable element of the human journey, a stepping stone on the trajectory toward achievements. Consider the most exceptional innovators, entrepreneurs, artists, athletes. Almost all of them encountered multiple setbacks and failures on their path to the zenith. Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, all confronted significant adversities. Failure is not an indication of your worth. It's an indication that you are extending your boundaries, an indication that you are daring to attempt novel endeavors. When we reframe failure in this fashion, it relinquishes its control over us. It evolves into a valuable feedback mechanism. We can ascertain what does not function, adapt our strategy, and progress with enhanced understanding and resilience. Every stumble, every misstep, every unsuccessful endeavor comprises valuable lessons. It's akin to a research and development phase where you accumulate vital data. What did you learn? What did you execute incorrectly? How can you execute it more effectively subsequently? Instead of indulging in self-pity and declaring I'm not sufficiently competent, inquire of yourself, what can I learn from this? Observe the most prosperous corporations, such as Amazon, Tesla, and Apple. They encounter failures constantly. New products fail, new strategies fail, and their stock sometimes collapses, but they persist in innovating. They persist in advancing. They do not permit failures to define them, and neither should you. Embrace failure as an opportunity for development and transform it into fuel for your achievements. When you accept that failure is a normal and necessary component of the journey, you become less apprehensive of it, and you are much more inclined to undertake the hazards necessary to achieve your objectives. You begin perceiving failures as valuable data points that propel you nearer to your ultimate destination. Chapter 5. Action over apathy. Now that we've explored fear and justifications, it's time to be practical about undertaking action. Talk is inexpensive, they assert, and it is accurate. You can plan, strategize, and analyze until you are exhausted, but nothing modifies until you initiate action. Action is the antidote to apathy, the remedy for stagnation. It is the sole method to surmount your apprehensions and liberate yourself from your self-imposed constraints. Action is the validation of your conviction, the substantiation of your intentions. If you genuinely believe in yourself, then you must demonstrate it through your actions. But how do you accomplish this? How do you cultivate a pattern of consistent action? Initially, you must escape your own mind. Cease overthinking every minuscule detail and simply commence. Perfection is a misconception. There is no such concept as the ideal occasion to initiate. Begin before you are prepared, because you will never feel entirely prepared. Begin modestly. Do not attempt to overhaul your entire existence at once. Select one or two specific objectives and concentrate on taking modest, consistent measures toward them. A few minutes daily is significantly superior to a few hours weekly. Consistency is the fundamental factor. Concentrate on establishing systems rather than relying on motivation. Motivation is a fleeting sentiment that is effortlessly swayed by external variables. Certain days, you will simply not feel inclined to accomplish anything. However, systems are dependable. They are your daily routines that will sustain you even when you do not feel like it. Formulate a daily agenda, establish reminders, and discover an accountability companion. Make it effortless to undertake action. Diminish the friction between you and your objectives. Prepare your workspace the night preceding. Organize your workout attire, or whatever it necessitates to facilitate commencing. And most crucially, commemorate your victories regardless of how modest. Every minor stride forward is an occasion to celebrate. This will generate a positive feedback cycle and inspire you to continue. You must transition from contemplating your objectives to actually executing them. Cease conversing and commence executing. Let your actions articulate more emphatically than your excuses. Chapter 6. The Power of Accountability. Accountability is a transformative factor in the journey toward your objectives. It's one aspect to pledge promises to yourself. It's an entirely distinct aspect to pledge those promises to someone else. When you are aware that someone is observing, you are considerably more inclined to remain on course and follow through. Accountability is the adhesive that binds your intentions collectively. It's the support framework that guarantees you persist in progressing even when circumstances become challenging, and they will become challenging. However, accountability is not solely about external pressure. It's also about internal candor. It's about being truthful with yourself concerning your advancement. Are you genuinely exerting every effort to achieve your objectives? Are you utilizing your time prudently? Are you fabricating justifications for yourself? Answering these questions truthfully is a crucial measure in assuming complete responsibility for your existence. Accountability is a muscle that necessitates development. It's not merely about being truthful with others, it's about being truthful with yourself. When you are truthful with yourself, you can discern your advancement clearly, and you can identify areas where you are undermining your achievements. There exist numerous methods to cultivate accountability. You can enlist a mentor or a guide who can aid you in establishing objectives, tracking progress, and holding you accountable. You can identify an accountability companion who shares analogous objectives and collaborate collectively. You can share your objectives with your acquaintances or relatives and request them to inquire about your progress regularly. You can also utilize technology to track your advancement. Applications and software that monitor time, activity levels, or other parameters can assist you in visualizing your advancement and remaining on track. Ultimately, accountability is about assuming full responsibility for your existence. You are the architect of your destiny. No one is going to magically intervene and resolve matters for you. If you desire to prosper, you must be accountable to yourself. You must be candid with yourself. You must persist in advancing even when you do not feel inclined to do so. Chapter 7. Embrace the uncomfortable. Finally, and this is critical, you must embrace the uncomfortable. Development materializes outside of your comfort zone. Achievements are discovered on the opposite side of discomfort. When you become comfortable being uncomfortable, you become unstoppable. It's not a singular occurrence. It is something you must practice every single day. Reflect upon the aspects that frighten you the most, the aspects that you evade. Are these aspects impeding you from living the existence you genuinely desire? The likelihood is that they are. Those uncomfortable circumstances, those demanding tasks, those alarming interactions are your opportunities for development. Embrace these experiences. Perceive them not as hindrances, but as stepping stones on the trajectory toward achieving your complete potential. This is not a call to reside in perpetual apprehension, but a call to reframe your relationship with discomfort. When you embrace discomfort, it becomes less alarming. It becomes the norm. It's akin to lifting weights. Initially, it feels awkward, painful, and uncomfortable. However, the more you execute it, the stronger you evolve, and you begin to relish the procedure. Embrace the challenge. Perceive it as an indispensable component of development. This is the solitary method to surmount the constraints of your excuses. The solitary method to silence that internal voice that informs you that you are not sufficiently skilled. When you embrace the uncomfortable, you initiate the development of resilience, grit, and determination. You cultivate a growth mindset that embraces learning and development, that perceives challenges as prospects, that never accepts the established order. You are not apprehensive of deviating, of defying the norm, of attempting something novel. You become the hero of your individual narrative. And this procedure commences with simply articulating no more excuses, and it continues by embracing the uncomfortable. You possess the potential within you to accomplish anything you set your mind to. All you necessitate is to liberate yourself from your constraints, discard your excuses, and step into the individual you were perpetually intended to be. It's not effortless, it's going to be demanding, but I am confident you can accomplish it. Conclusion. The journey we've covered today is not solely about eliminating justifications. It's about embracing a life of intention and potency. The conclusions will be at the end, and we will discuss our strategy and actions for future development. It's time to cease settling for the comfort of rationalizations and step boldly into the discomfort of development. You possess the instruments and the potency within you to institute remarkable modifications. It's time to employ them.